Hello guys and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we have a Mark III Focus ST250 in for a full stage 2 package. So we're going to take you and show you some of the hardware that we're fitting to the car. Then we're going to get to the fitting and then we're going to get to the mapping. So let's go and take a look at the hardware. So up first we have the AirTech intake. This is a really nice fitting bit of kit, which is why we like it. It also comes with a heat shield and generally it performs excellent. So we've got that for our air intake. We've also got the AirTech intercooler, which is huge. This has great performance when it comes to dyno time. You can always see that the temps are low, which is nice. We've then got the Laird Performance decat, which is not for road use. This car won't be used on the road. So that is what is going on this one, as well as a Cobra Venom exhaust system. So why are we upgrading the air intake? Well, if you look at the standard one, you can see it's all flattened, it's kind of rough looking, it's got a lot of areas that could cause turbulence, whereas the AirTech one, on the other hand, is smooth, it's nice and wide, it's got a massive air filter, so we don't have that restrictive air box. Yes, we might pull in a small bit of hot air, but it's going to be minimal in comparison to the sheer volume that we're actually going to get in. So that's the first part that we're upgrading. The second part being the intercooler. The standard intercooler on these is poor. It's a really flimsy design, the material's rubbish, it doesn't do well cooling wise, whereas the AirTech's really beefy. It's a bar and plate core, it will cool like nobody's business. It's going to be really, really good on there. And then naturally your cat's a restriction. Now we can tune to suit standard cats, but when you're wanting absolute maximum power, just get rid of the restriction and basically, you know, you're going to have all the flow in the world, you can get all the heat out, you can get all the exhaust gases out, and everything will just run that little bit happier. Now with these Focus STs in particular, they can vary from car to car. Sometimes we can get it tuned up in the first hit and it works perfectly, which is the way as a tuner you always want it to go. But that doesn't always happen when it comes to these, and sometimes it's best to build up the way rather than just throw everything at it and hope for the best. So with these cars being the way that they are, we like to take a couple extra safety steps and basically build up towards the power we want to try and make. We see too many people trying to just map these cars absolutely flat out. It doesn't work well for them, and all that ends up happening is you end up with reduced power. We've had cases where we've had cars from competitors on the dyno that have actually made less power than stock. That is not what we want to see here. So what we're going to do is, we want to see how the car's performing with all the base hardware on it on this occasion, so that we'll get something to base this off. Sometimes the wastegates aren't that strong on these, sometimes we need other modification to help get us to the actual peak power that we want to try and achieve. With this car and the hardware, I would like to see about 290 to 300 brake horsepower. That is the kind of area we want to be in, but sometimes the wastegates just won't allow for that. So we're going to take a run now, see how we got on, and hopefully we're going to be in the ballpark somewhere close anyway. Hopefully we're not going to be miles out for the standard power. Well, the first runs are looking nice and strong, nice and healthy. Everything's as expected. We've got a bit of power increase from the modifications. So we've selected everything right for this car. So now we just need to try and up the power a bit, which, you know, I think is going to be pretty straightforward in this car. Good bit of smoke off the brand new Cobra exhaust, but that's because of all the oils and stuff like that that's in it from manufacturing, so never worry about that when you fit a brand new exhaust. Everything's looking great, so now we're going to upload the stage 2 and see if it gives us bang on the power we're looking for, if we're going to need to make any tweaks. The only other thing I want to check is this car actually tuned already? Just because it is a little bit on the higher side, so I want to check it all out, make sure that it's not tuned, because if it is, then I can return it to stock or start from fresh. But just before I flash my file on, I want to make sure that that is not the case. Hopefully it's just a strong car, maybe it's already tuned, but we'll find out just now. So basically now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an actual read of the ECU with one of my tools that takes actual reads, and then I'm going to compare it against what we call a virtual read. Now a virtual read is essentially a standard file that is taken off a server and given to us when we go to read the car. It identifies the ECU software version and just gives us this file. It makes the reading process a lot quicker, whereas when you take an actual read, it sometimes takes a fair bit of time. So that is basically how we're going to work out if it's standard or not standard, is by just comparing the two files. If there's no differences, then we're good to go. So after checking out, it is all standard, everything's hunky-dory, it's just a really strong car, which is what we want to see. So now we just need to flash the stage 2 on. Hopefully it's going to make the power that we want to see straight away and do it without any issues. If we need to make any changes, then we'll make them. So there we have it, we've got our results, we've got exactly what we're looking for. We've made 298 brake horsepower with 486 Newton meters. Now that's absolutely spot on for one of these. One thing you don't want to do is go too crazy on the torque, because these aren't exactly the strongest of engines. And also there was no sorts of ignition pull across the entire RPM range, so that's absolutely spot on for one of these. It's perfectly safe, perfectly usable, the power's delivered right across the RPM range. It's got a strong top end that doesn't feel like it drives like a diesel, which you can get with these cars if you ramp the torque too high. So that's all for us today. Just make sure to drop a comment what you'd like to see in our weekly uploads, and we'll try our best to try and meet your needs. But until then guys, we'll see you on the next one.